So let's take a look at MSTY and let's see, are there any positive moves on this one? Are we seeing any kind of resistance? Or how about a support that will tell us that MSTY could be moving up? Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to talk about MSTY, as we did move up yesterday but had a red day today. So let's just see, are we moving up at all, or is it just moving up and we're just giving it all back the next day? So let's just go to the charts and check it out. All right, so here we are looking at MSTY at the charts, and we're looking at the actual movements. Now we're showing that big drop on Thursday. That was that X date. And that's where we hit that new low of $12.83. But it didn't stay there long before it moved back up and closed at $13.19. Then on Friday, we had a nice little green candle that opened at $13.22 and closed at $13.51. And then Monday, we had a nice pop-up that opened at $13.69 and then closed at $14.03. And of course, today we opened at $13.90 and closed at $13.96. So even though we do have a red number up here showing that we closed below the close of yesterday, we do still have a little bit of a green candle. All right, so here we are zoomed in on those candles, and you can see we are creating new higher lows, right? As you can see, the low here, $12.83. What's the low on Friday? $13.07. And then the low on Monday was $13.59. And the low for today, $13.78. And these are actual movements, right? So you can see we are getting a little bit of an uptrend as we are getting higher lows, but we would also like to see some higher highs, right? And we'll take a look at MSTR to see if we can get those same higher lows and if MSTR is creating any higher highs. But first, let's flip this over to the adjusted chart and let's check out the indicators. All right, there we are. We've got the Bollinger Band pulled up, and you can see we are moving back into the Bollinger Band here, trying to move back up to that midpoint. You can see that the momentum here, where we were going red and increasing, right, on Friday, and then Monday, of course, we did decrease that red, and then today we decreased it a little bit more. That MACD is getting close. I hope to see a cross up. If not, we're going to get rejected off of that signal line, and this is going to move on back down. The volume was pretty good on Friday and Monday. It was a little low today, so we'd like to see that volume also pick up. But let's take a look at MSTR and let's see if we can tell where MSTY may be headed. All right, there we are on MSTR. And you can see the chart looks pretty similar, right? Now the difference here is, of course, notice the momentum here. We had the red on Thursday, red on Friday, it did increase. And then Monday we got green. So we did get a cross on Monday. Had a nice big jump, right, on MSTR for Monday. And then Tuesday, we had a green candle, but it really didn't get back up to where it was yesterday. Now, the momentum here did increase a little bit on that green side, and we did go ahead and finish that cross on the MACD. But what we need is more volume here. The volume is still pretty low, right? We need a big volume bar right here to get this momentum pushing, and we can start pushing MSTR on back up. The RSI 14 is only at 44, so it's pretty much right there in the middle. So honestly, it could go either way. We are getting close to that MA20, which is the middle of that Bollinger Band right here. So that will be a bit of a resistance line for MSTR, and it will need to break that to get above it so it can start moving back on up, and let's get it back to the top of the Bollinger Band, which currently is around a price of 348. And that would be great because I have 22 shares currently at 341.74. I do have a buy order here for 2 shares at $2.95, and that one's been sitting out there for a little while, right? But if it ever did drop back down to this low area here, it's going to pick up 2 more shares for me, and I would not hate that at all. Now, as far as a resistance line here, this line here used to be our support line over here, right? But once we broke down below it, now it's a resistance line. So it's currently going up and it's tapping that resistance line right there. Today we went up. We didn't quite make it to that resistance line, but we need to keep chipping away at it so that MSTR can get on back above that resistance line and start moving back up and get back into this channel so that it can start testing the previous resistance line and change this resistance line to a support line at that point. But we do need more momentum and we do need some more volume. So we need Bitcoin to move on up and to get out of its little funk, because if we take a look at Bitcoin right here, you can see it is just trading sideways. It's in this range right here, right? It just does not want to get out of that range currently. Gets up to about that 117 area and it drops right back down to the 109, right? And we're currently at this little resistance line right here at the 115. We did tap it right here. You can see if I zoom in, we came up close to it right there and got rejected today, right? So hopefully tomorrow we can go up and we can start chipping away at this one as well. One good sign is, of course, is that momentum right here. You can see the red is decreasing, and it decreased quite a bit actually. Even though it's a red candle, it did decrease on that momentum. So that's pretty interesting, right? And you can see the top of that wick right here is pretty close to the top of this wick. So it is hitting a true resistance line right here. Now there's a good bit of buyers right here, because look at that long wick on the bottom, right? Because those buyers are pushing it right back up. But there are sellers right here at this line, and they get to it and the sellers just knock them right back down. But you keep hitting it, eventually you can exhaust those sellers and then break on through. And we need Bitcoin to get moving and to get off the pot so it can move on back up, get back up to this 117, break through it, and then we can start getting back up and testing this 120. And if we can have that happening, then I think MSTR should start moving up as well. Now I know on MSTR, of course, they do like to keep purchasing more and more Bitcoin, which does end up diluting the price of MSTR, right? Because you have more Bitcoin, therefore the price of the stock has to reflect the number of Bitcoin you have. So the price would go down and the number of Bitcoin goes up. But you also have to understand, are they playing this as a short-term or a long-term play, right? Short-term would be run it up, try to get as much as you can out of it. Don't dilute it by buying more Bitcoin. Get that price on up, right? Make everybody happy short term. But at that time, Bitcoin could be at 150K. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd much rather buy it around the 109, 114K, right? And that's what they're doing. They're just continually buying because Bitcoin has a set number, right? And that's the reason the value can continue to go up. Because as the demand goes up and the supply goes down, the price has got to increase. So if you're playing this thing long term, and if you're long Bitcoin, then wouldn't you want to go ahead and try to gather as many as you possibly can up front and then ride that price on up and up and up? It's almost like dollar cost averaging. It's the way I like to think of it. So I think MSTR is thinking long term. And a lot of the retail investors like you and me, we have a little bit more of a short-term thinking. And we see that price dropping and we're not happy, right? They're buying more Bitcoin and it's just dropping that price. But if you can see Bitcoin moving up to 150K, then that's just going to make it worth more, right? they're going to have a larger overall value because they'll have more Bitcoin and it'll be worth more per coin. So that's my thinking, is they're long term with this. So we just have to be patient and ride the waves, as there will be some ups and there will be some downs. But I think overall, long term, I can see Mr. moving on up. At least that's my hope and my thoughts and my opinions. But going back to MSTY here, I still do have that $16 put, as you can see right here, and it's out to January. That's a sold put, and that just means that I am agreeing to buy 100 shares at $16 per share if the price of MSTY is under $16 by January the 16th. And right now it is, right? But I won't necessarily be assigned those shares unless I'm assigned early. But I don't see that happening, as the price of MSTY is still just too high to be assigned early in my books. But if we can get Mr. to move on up by the end of this year, then MSTY should move on up. And I'm hoping that a $16 put will just expire worthless. In other words, MSTY will be above $16 by the mid part of January, and therefore I will not have to purchase 100 shares at $16 each, right? It just closes that contract because the price would be above 16, and therefore I would not be required to purchase those shares. But I got some time. That is in January, and this is September, almost October actually, right? It's crazy. But anyway, I have 475 shares at an average purchase price of $24.21. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that my adjusted average price per share is actually just a little over $1. And once I earn that much in distributions, then I will have MSTY paid off. And it's just going to change how I think of things as far as MSTY goes, right? Because then all of those distributions from that point on would be free and clear, not including taxes, of course. But I will be earning those distributions, and I can either roll some back into MSTY at no cost to me, right? Because that is YieldMax money that's paying me. And since YieldMax has already paid me back for the cost that I spent for my shares, that means the shares that I even own are free. So I would have no reason ever to sell it, as long as it continues to pay a distribution, because that's just free money at that point. And I'll take that money, and like I said, I can roll some back into MSTY, I can roll some into another ETF, or I can put it into something completely different. I will say I'd like to get my MSTY shares up a bit, so I will probably roll a good percentage of it right back in, and the only loss I would take at that point would be my gains. I will have none of my capital at risk at that point. It would only be risking the gains of those distributions only. If I only put 50% back in and use the other 50% to put it into something a little less risky, I can do that. But I have many options. So I'm super excited about that. I should get my MSTY paid off in about 2 more distributions, as long as they're at least 60 cents a piece. So basically, if I earn at least $1.20 in distributions, whether it takes 1 or 2 distributions, then I will have MSTY paid off, because I am going to set and I'm going to wait until it's fully paid off, because I'm so close, and that's only a month or 2 away. It's almost like getting your house paid off, right? Except this way, I'll be using the house money to make money. Now tell me, doesn't that sound awesome? So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.